Good afternoon. From the home province of my mother, Pangasinan. Tulay, good afternoon, Pangasinan. Maong ang araw mo si kayo. From those from Pampanga, Interlock, the home province of my father. Maya, pagpanapon kayo. I'm not going to go into Tagalog dahil bulwarte yan ni Ate Lelen. Kaya hindi ako lalaban sa Tagalog ni Ate Lelen, taga Batangas. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to thank the Creba directors, Mr. Charlie, Noel Carino, and others for putting me in the second batch. Hindi po nila ako sinabay dun sa mga CEOs. Mahirap po sabayan yung mga charming and enchanting officers who have 700 plus years, 700 plus days of experience sa housing. Ako po, I'm celebrating my 9th month today. I started January 18, date October 18, so 9th month na po ako. Kaya medyo madali yung homework ko. At sabi nila, updates. So since 9 months ago, therefore lahat siguro ng ginawa ko since I started are updates from what my predecessor, yung predecessor ko po ay magandang lalaking artistang na si Jopet Sison, who's trying to join the CEOs, si Attorney Berberabe at si Attorney Bernardo. Si Jopet is in the middle of the rigorous 4 Sunday multiple choice bar exam. Meron pa siyang 2 linggo at kahit birthday niya bukas nagsusunod po ng kilay at napakahirap daw ng bar exam ngayon. Pangalawa kong babatiin ko, medyo nakakalamang po kay Ate Lelen dito. Nung araw, ingit na ingit ko kay Ate Lelen, marami sinasabi, Ninong. Biglang na-discovery ko, mas malapit ako, pinsan. Pinsan ko pala si Congressman. Turn out that my mother's my father died early. My mother went to the state and she remarried Pedring Garon. Turned out to be the oldest brother of the mother of the congressman. So, lamang na ako sa iyo. Pinsan ko na si Congressman. So, salamat po at napinggan po yung inyong mga presentasyon. Ngayon, I will try my best. Sensya na, hindi po ako magaling masyado mag-English. Ang kwento nga nung bumalik po ako sa Amerika, nag-champion yung UP 1986 versus si Benji Paras. Saya-saya lahat namin. Tapos nung bumaba kami, kakanta na kami. Yung iba, Ateneo, Lasam, meron lang kinakanta. Kakanta na yung mga UP. Nung binuksan ko na yung bibig ko, kinanta ko UP. Pagtingin ko, lahat ng katabi ko, UP namin mahal. Yung pala, Tagalog na pala yung UP since island. So medyo mahina po ako dyan dahil nung kapanuhan namin, wala pang Filipinong subject sa college, puro English o Spanish. So I will have to deliver this presentation in English. Okay. So the topic assigned to me, yung homework sabi ni Tony Bernard, updates on the HLRPP and the BB2. And I had the good fortune of presenting this in the OSDAP and the SHEDA. So I more or less know what's going to be asked of me. I said those were the questions that they're asked of me. And essentially, the first question that's usually asked of me is, why did I change certain things from the way President Jopet used to conduct it? Okay. So the first thing that I changed in the Housing Loan Receivable Purchase Program is really I set a cap. Okay, I set a cap of 3 million in the loans that we buy. And I'm very lucky in the initial presentation from the BOI, nakita ko yung magic number na 3 million. So, they support na agad. Even the BOI realizes that BOI is the magic number. So anyway, if I had not seen the BOI, I would have said that I'm really following the HADC definition. Okay, the HADC definition for the level 3 low cost, it's 1.25 million to 3 million. And it's very important, the 3 million is very important, and we'll get to the reason later on when I go to the second product, the bahay bonds. Okay. But the second reason is that in the last, In the last SHEDA meeting in Davao about 2 weeks ago, the number 3 million was also very important because it turned out, based on the industry study conducted for SHEDA by the UAP, it turned out that the backlog in housing unit only goes up to the level of low cost. It's the socialized, economic, and low cost. There's going to be a shortage of housing unit of about 484 million. And above that, the forecast that there will be a surplus. So my feeling is I'm not as big as Pag-ibig. In fact, my total budget for HLRPP is just slightly more than my loan with Apelelen. So I don't intend to compete in sectors where there's a surplus anyway. So I will let the 3 million to 6 million up be funded by the banks, and Apelelen is also going up to 6 million. Sa kanila lang yun dahil medyo mahirap atang labanan yung mga BB2, RCBC, etc. So I also decided, for the same reason, because of industry supply and demand, to limit the purchases of the HLRPP to a cap of 3 million. And the third reason I'll discuss later. Well, like I said, the housing roadmap presented by SHEDA, they went into great detail, but in effect, what they're saying is there is a significant shortage, and the bulk of the shortage are those who can afford, but as they go up the segments, the shortage only goes up to the low cost. And the excess housing units in the high end and the medium end might remain sold, might remain unsold, but there appears to be no pressing demand for us to also go into that sector. Again, that comes from the and anyway, yung mid end and high end in percentage terms are just slightly more than 1% the total. The low cost is about 10%, and the rest economic are the great bulk of it. Okay, and therefore, like I said, I did not change anything other than this in the guidelines set by my predecessor. We will continue to buy seasoned loans that will serve as underlying collateral for our securitization. We will buy only loans with lot as a collateral if the lot is fully developed within the residential area. And in the yellow, that's the change I set in the loan executive committee, that we will only consider a maximum value of 3 million. Okay. The rest are what they were, and these are in our website, NHMFC.gov.ph. You can even print out the forms that you can fill up, so that when you go visit Rose Jose and Daisy, they're somewhere in the back. It will facilitate the processing of your takeout. Okay. The second thing that I changed is the price. Okay. When I first came in, I think the price was I think about 12 or so. Okay, and it wasn't moving. What had happened? These rates were set when interest rates were very high, and I felt that this should be more or less set with market. And since market was low, and I looked at government securities, I decided to bring it up low. Okay. Once we buy your loan, obviously the rates will be fixed for the term of the loan, maximum 25 years. But for new purchases, we reserve the right to change our rate depending on what happens to market rates. And the market rate we usually look at is the 25-year T-bond. Okay, and I guess because the government keeps issuing 25-year T-bond, those rates will probably be there for a while. And it's very important for us to set the rates of government T-bond, because as you will see in the second half of the presentation, this asset pool are really the source of payment of the securities, and I can't make it too far away from the government securities, otherwise my investment vehicles will be out of market. Okay, I really haven't changed it. This is essentially what has been in this product. This product, I think, is about 3 years old. Those are still the same requirement. And the common denominator, unlike the banks or Pag-ibig, is we want to get more or less seasoned loans because, like I said, we're not really in the financing as a primary objective. The buying of the loans is to provide the asset pool for our securitization. So we want to make sure that loans we're buying are really already have a proven track record. So as you can see, they're either 6 to 12 months in terms of amortization. So even if we go with CTS, we eventually would like to convert them to rent with information take out. The annotation will be NHMFC, etc., etc., etc. And as you can see, these are not really as competitive as banks or Pag-ibig. If you have new borrowers or Pag-ibig member borrowers, I think I strongly recommend that you go to the HROs headed by a very handsome DCEO of Ahmad, who happens to be the fraternity brother of the predecessor of Len and etc. Magaling ko yun. So, kung hindi rin season bago, sa Pag-ibig ko kayo. Because iba naman yung objective namin. Anyway, ito yung third change I tried to make. One of the first, when I was asked to join housing, ang sabi ko sa Vice President, hindi po ako housing person, finance po ako. So sabi niya, okay. Sabi niya, when I go, he was scheduled to deliver a speech at the World Bank. Sabi niya, come with me, and we were there last July, and I visited my counterparts, yung counterpart ko yung mga rinig siguro yung Ginnie Mae, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and if you visit their office, they're set up like a factory assembly line. In the mornings, 8 o'clock, they get folders, boxes and boxes of loan documents. And at the end of the day, these boxes are triads into 3. One set securitizable, 1/3 is retarded bank, and then some okay, but for seasoning. And the reason they're able to do that is their process and their IT support are really so advanced. For example, their forms are all uniform, parang bank. Most of my life has been in banking. And those of you familiar with banks, when you open a letter of credit, whether you open it with Citibank, whether you open it with Land Bank, whether you open any bank, the forms are all the same. They're governed by something called UCC. So, any bank in any part of the world, kahit na Timbuktu, Africa, pag binakita yung letter of credit, maintindihan ka agad. Kasi it's the same, no? So, ganun yung mga loan documents na pinoprocess nila pare-pareho. I think HLC under USEC Alba gathered all the KSAs together, and I think they're trying to make our forms uniform. In fact, nag-volunteer si Len sa likod daw, ita-translate niya sa Tagalog yung mga forms. Mag-volunteer sa anak mag-translate sa Kapampangan at Pangasinan, pero hindi ganun yung kalalim ng aking pagsusulat. But anyway, English on one side and Tagalog on the other. Hopefully, it will make it easy to process these loans. And then second, in the States, they just type the name and the SS number. Yung sinasabi ni Len ng credit score, they're able to get that on the computer. Ano nila, okay. Felix Bustos, credit score 500, nagilid yun. Darlene Berberade, 660, magaling yun. And they're able to evaluate the credit right away because the credit bureau is, meron na tayong gano'n. Nag-pass na ng law in Congress, we have a credit bureau, they've appointed a very good person, dating Accenture, inumpisahan na ni voluntary but it will take a while to set up. Pero pag naayos yun, yung nilalagay namin 15 days bibilis pa. What else do we need? I think eventually we also have to have yung tinatawag ng title insurance. Title insurance essentially says, hindi mo na kailangan yung title na piece of paper. Parang yung ginawa natin sa treasury bills, yung ginawa natin sa bonds, even yung ating mga saving account. Noong araw, diba, may mga saving account pa tayo. Ngayon, nasa may mura na lahat ng computer. Eventually, again, the government is working on this. We don't have to physically get a title, pupunta tayo sa, check natin, monetization, check na rin sa computer. If we can do that, it will save a lot of time. Plus yung valuation, like my mother's area code is 92154, no? And then there's a 4-digit subcode, kunyari 044. Then within the 1 mile area, meron silang GPS, GGIPS tinatawag na meron ng valuation yung mga properties. Therefore, it's easy to compute yung loan to value ratios and things like that. So, in one day, napa-process nila yung loan to ano. We're trying to improve that. Ano. I've set a limit of 15 days. Nagtatanong-tanong ako, meron daw 14 days. It so happened, pure coincidence, hindi ko siya kamag-anak ha. Yung katabi ko roon kaninang developers Pangasinan, nakakuha raw siya in 9 days. So, hopefully, we can keep improving this. Because number one, we don't really have that much money. Hindi kami kamukha ni Ate Len, napakaraming pera. The little we have to keep rolling, you know. And therefore, the more efficient we are, the more we turn over our money, the more we can help the housing sector. Kasi sa economic textbook, they say that the housing multiplier is between 2 to 3. Yung SHEDA sabi nila, multiplier is 3. No? Sa US, nakaka-16 daw sila. Kasi yung 1 billion of loan, which leads to 2 billion impact on GDP, because they're able to turn over this thing because of securitization, massive at level of securitization sa state. You know? Even at the current level, na depressed mortgage-backed security market, it's 25% of the total fixed income market. You know? Kung i-apply niya sa Pilipinas, ang total fixed income market ng Pilipinas is 3.2 trillion. That's GS, mga bonds ng San Miguel, whatever. Kung susundin natin yung depressed ratio ng Pilipinas, ng US, at 25% of that should be mortgage-backed security. Theoretically, we should have about 800 billion peso worth of mortgage-backed security. We only have 2.6. 2 yung researcher ko, 0.6. So, we really have a lot to work on to improve this market so we can reach its potential of developing this market. Anyway, so, what happens pa when we buy the correct loans and then we securitize it? Okay, my good friend Biklim Lingan, when he wrote about securitization a long time ago, I want to make sure I scribe everything. Baka ako'y ma-accuse naman na like some senator na hindi nag-ascribe. So, this a lot of it came from my good friend Professor Biklim Lingan sa former AIM, now with the MCI. Sinasabi niya, securitization is really STM. It's separation, transformation, and the last is multiplication. Separation, you get the loans from the developers or for the banks. And then in NHMFC, we transform this into a marketable securities. And if we're very efficient, then we're able to turn over the loan several times. Mukhang kaya namin ng 5 months, hopefully we can bring it down to 4. So baka next year maka 3 times kaya kami. Ngayon mukhang kaya naman ng 2 times year. Sa state, they're able to do it in 1.5 months. So nakaka 8 sila. Kaya sinasabi nila, in 2 by 8, 16 yung housing multipliers sa state. So, hopefully, if we're able to improve our system, makakabutin natin yung 16 housing multiplier. Okay. So this is the multiplier. It's called bahay bond. Okay. First of all, ano ba ang basis niyan? The basis is Republic Act 9267, also known as Securitization Act. Okay? Section 33 says, in order to promote the securitization of the mortgage and housing-related receivables of the government housing agency, as may be determined by HLRPP and the DOF, okay, the yield or income of the investor from any low-cost or socialized housing-related asset-backed securities shall be exempt from income tax. The definition of low-cost or socialized housing, as mentioned by my fellow speaker from the BOI, comes from the HLRPP and the DOF. Although, medyo nagkakaiba ng konti. Sa HLRPP is 3 million, sa DOF is 3.1. Pero, for the sake of conservatism, sinusunod ko na lang yung 3.0 million. So, if our underlying asset pool meets those definitions, then the return of whatever we sell becomes tax exempt. So, imbis na lagay ko sa bangko less 20% withholding grant. If I have a cap of 3 million and all of my asset pool is like that, and I have a certification from USEC Alba, then I can claim that my bahay bonds are tax-free, tax-exempt. Okay, this was the first bahay bond. It was done by my predecessor. It was done on March 23, 2009, and what he did is he got 12,000 of the prime residential loans of National Loan Mortgage, and using those as collateral, issued about 2 billion worth of asset-backed securities. Okay, consisted of 2 notes, senior notes rated AA by ratings. They were so good they were bought by qualified institutional investors, and these were basically 3 banks: Banco de Oro, Land Bank, and RCBC. And then the sub notes are still retained by Princesa. Okay, between the time, they were tax exempt. There was a cash flow guarantee, home guarantee. Market reception was very good. In fact, it was very good. They got an award. And like I said, even the underwriter bought it and the 2 other banks bought the rest. So napakaganda, pero hindi tayo nakinabang. Tatlong bangko lang ang kinabang. Okay? So when I arrived, medyo nag-aral muna ako. 22 years ko ng buhay ko, full-time professor ako, 37 years. Bago ako nag-research muna. So, the first thing I did, I looked at what are some of the research available. One of the things that came out in the few months that I started, early part of this year, was in all over the newspaper, the result of a survey by Central Bank. The Consumer Finance Survey was done over one significant period, sample size of 10,520. Malaki mo yan. Kasi normally, pag gumagawa yung SWS, the Philippines is represented by 1,200 respondents. Represented ito, they looked at 10,520 households from 4 regions. And the main findings, as far as I was concerned, is just less than 1% of households, less than 1% at investments. Okay? And in fact, only 20% had saving banking relationship at all. 80% of our countrymen do not have any banking relationship. And based on the survey, the reason they haven't invested in banks or other investment instruments, although marami silang mga alahas, appliances, iPhone, Nokia, but they did not want to go to the bank because ang feeling nila, they would not risk their income because tingin nila very risky. Natakot sila sa mga agrics, mga singidad ko, at saka yung mga bata-bata, yung word na legacy. Diba? Okay, so they did not like to put it away. So, BSP said, we have to address the market. Okay. And secondly, BSP also came up with a very strict definition of Circular 600 approved in 2008. So almost everybody was saying kasi, we're all set for a housing bubble para sa Amerika. No? So sabi ng BSP, ayaw natin nangyari sa Amerika sa atin. So magiging very strict kami sa implementation ng Circular 600. So sabi, kasi dati, pag-compute nila yung 20% limit, yung nandun lang sa taas, yung regular loans over your total loans. Dati hindi kasali yung mga low-cost, socialized housing. Saka pag bumibili ka ng mortgage-backed security or ally bonds or investments in real estate company, hindi kasali sa numerator. Pero Central Bank said, our new definition of the numerator will include all loans, investment in debt, equity securities, as bank real estate exposure. So this amends the policy, excluding loans granted to individuals, and loans granted to developer for the development of socialized and local housing. So ano pong ibig sabihin yan? Okay, ang nangyayari ngayon, I think what will happen, sa Davao, may pinakita silang study na nasa 18-19% na yung banking system. So in another few months, I suppose, the banks will hit their limit of 20%. So puro pag-ibig na, nag-ahari na yun. HRO. All siyempre, yan. No? So I think what we have to do is we have to develop other sources. Sabi namin, since yung BB1 na binili ng RCBC, Land Bank at Banco de Oro, will now be in the numerator. It will not help if we issue mortgage-backed security at bibilin din ng mga bangko. Kasi, malalagay din sa numerator, it will just crowd out the loans to you. So we are defeating our purpose. Sabi namin, we must come up with instruments that will be bought by non-banks, individual, sa mga non-bank insurance company. So that's what we use as our marching order when we devise Bahay Bantu. Please. Okay, well, like I said, yung central banks monitoring every quarter. So this quarter ends by the end of this month. September, nag-compute na lang. So I suppose in another few weeks, lalabas na by the third quarter, tumama na tayo sa 20%. Okay, and then et cetera. Alam, maraming. So, ang message ng central bank is, huwag nyo nang asahang magpipinance pa sa inyo yung mga bangko. Kasi dinefine nila yung numerator, include construction, development, real estate projects, even ancillary service like buying and selling, rental, management of rental properties, which is a much wider definition from the original circular, which limits real estate activities to the acquisition, construction, and improvement of real estate property. Okay, so nung dinesign namin yung Bahay Bantu 2, sabi namin, number one, pipilitin namin yung mga asset pool namin, only low-cost and socialized housing loans. And then we will make it retail. Ang definition po ng retail, the minimum denomination is 5,000. Hindi po original yan. Inumpisahan po yan nila President Era Estrada in retail investment fund. So, kinaya lang namin yun. Just to compare, pag i-compare nyo doon sa Vista Land, for example, ang minimum denomination doon is 180,000. Usually, 100,000 yung ibang fund. Kami 5,000. And then we were make sure na pag nangangailangan ng pera yung mga tao, kailangan nilang pagpili, madaling ipagpili. So, inilist namin noong August 17, 2012. Ang ibig po sabihin, kung gusto nyo bumili at magpili, madali po. Yung land bank and most banks are accredited broker. Okay, so ano po ginawa? The asset pool we use for our current and performing residential housing loans. We made sure that the monthly installment were affordable para hindi papalya yung mga borrowers. We made sure that they were very seasoned. Say, studies have shown all over the world na pag more or less lumampas na ng 2 years yung binayad, hindi na nila iwan yung property. So we made sure the asset pool we used had a seasoning of almost 10 years and yet hindi pa malapit matapos 18 years. We made sure that the loan current value was very low, so hindi nila i-abandon. And then, since we're addressing this to the retail investors who did not want risk but yet wanted good return, we in our roadshow, we went on the roadshow. We said there's a very low probability of this loan borrowers not paying, since the appraised value of the property is very high compared to the value of the outstanding loan. So, secure yung inyong investment. Okay, and nag-ano po kami, nag-tranching. Although the asset pool is one, homogeneous, yung retail investors, nilagay namin class A, institutional investors, class B, kami yung class C. Ano pong ibig sabihin ng tranching na yan? Ibig po sabihin yan, pag yung asset pool na nagbabayad, babayaran muna namin yung interest at principal of the Series A loan. Pag lang nabayaran na sila, sa kababayaran ng institutional investors. At only pag tapos na yung A and B, saka babayaran yung hinahawakan namin na Class C. Originally, ang intention namin, hawakan namin yung Class C. But I guess because the returns were so attractive, and even this C was rated BBA, we have a lot of offers to buy even the Class C. When we were doing our marketing to retail investors, we said the asset pool is composed of seasoned, performing, and current asset pool. There's an excess spread approximately 364 per month. Ano po ibig sabihin yan? Kasi ang interest ng A is 4.8, yung B is 6, and yung receivables sa C. Yung asset pool ay kumikita ng excess of 3.64 na binabayaran. So sobra-sobra yung interest asset pool to pay for the interest on the loans, okay? And then, we also set up a reserve equivalent to 3 months cash collection. So yung mga bumili, by November 17, mag-interest na ho yun, sigurado kayong mayroong pambayad. Kahit na hindi kami mga koleksyon, binagyo yung buong Pilipinas, meron na nakaset na yung first 3 months interest. And more than that, nilagyan din namin ng liquidity reserve equivalent to 9 months of tax, expense and coupon payment. May konting question ho kami kay Commissioner Linares, bakit daw kami tax, ano. Pero anyway, that's going to be resolved. But anyway, we did set up reserve for tax expenses. Okay? Like I said, this is a very good investment for retail investors because it's safe. It was rated AA by 2 ratings. The several levels of enhancement, transformation as nasabi nila. May excess spread, reserve, variable interest support, may senior subordinated class A basic structure, and may GC guarantee. It's high yielding, yung 4.8, pag divide niyo by 0.8, it's about 6. Kung titingin mo kayo ng time deposit ngayon, or even government securities for 5 years, is less than this. It's affordable, it's available as low as 5,000, and marketable. If you want to sell out, you can sell out. Actually, if you sell now, it's selling at 104, meaning yung kung bumili kayo ng 10,000 peso worth, you would have made about 400 in Princesa. So not only do you have interest, you have a possibility of capital appreciation. With that, those are the things that we did in my 9 months in the housing sector. Maraming salamat po.